Saturn in the 12th house. Saturn in the 12th house is like Saturn in Samshan. I love Samshan. Samshan means the graveyard. Lord Shiva also loves Samshan, the graveyard. Samshan is an Indian word for graveyard. Graveyard or Samshan is the place from where the journey of a new life begins. The physical body fades away and a new cosmic life begins. Samshan is a place of great transformation. The Master always loves the Samshan. Shiva always loves the Samshan. Buddha always loves the Samshan. In fact, every Shiva temple having a natural Swayambhu Shiva Linga is found near a Samshan Ghat, that is, near a graveyard. It is in the graveyard, the Samshan, that great tapasvi yogis do intense penance under the guidance of their benevolent divine master. Lord Shiva is only experienced in the silence of the graveyard. When the seers address Lord Shiva as the Lord of destruction, this destruction is of all your materialistic thoughts and your attachments and your nature of clinging. In the abode of Lord Shiva, 12th house, the Samshan, the graveyard, the real question is not of learning but of unlearning much. That is what Jesus says to Nicodemus. That is what Krishna says to Arjuna. And that is what Buddha says to Ananda. That unless and until you drop all of your learning and all your preconceived notions, unless and until all those walls of scholarships and knowledge that you have built around yourself, you will not be able to experience the truth, the love, and the God that you seek. Shiva, the 12th house, conveys the same message that Jesus shares with Nicodemus, that Buddha shares with Ananda, that Krishna shares with Arjuna. The message to first destroy all those material illusions, and the source of these illusions is your mind. Only then can you attain enlightenment. Only then can you become an enlightened being. Enlightenment is indeed a destructive process. And when we see and when we say that Shiva is the Lord of destruction, that destruction is aimed at your ego, your mind, because until the mind is destroyed, the self cannot rise, the self cannot be realized. Enlightenment is a destructive process. It has nothing to do with becoming better or being happier. Enlightenment is the crumbling away of untruth. It's seeing through the facade of pretense. It is the complete eradication of everything we imagined to be true. Enlightenment therefore happens only in the abode of Lord Shiva. Only with the blessings of Lord Shiva, and every drop of my blood and every vein and every breath of my body will always speak of Shiva, because without Shiva there is no life. Without Shiva there is no enlightenment. Without Shiva there is nothing that I could ever imagine. Once it happened in the Himalayan region Once a disciple asked his master, "What is Shiva?" And the great master, one of the greatest of all, and my Guru, inscribed Shiva with a stick in his hand and said, "Now erase the mark above Shiva." When the mark above Shiva was erased, what left was Shav. The disciple got the answer. Shav means dead body. The benevolent master, through just one simple action, revealed the whole essence of Shiva. Shiva is the ultimate consciousness. Remove the consciousness and the body is dead. It is no more Shiva. It has become a Shava, a dead body. As long as you are living with ignorance, as long as you are not able to realize the true essence of Shiva, you are as good as a dead body, Shava. Saint Kabir used to say, "साधो ये मुर्दों का गाँव है, साधो ये मुर्दों का गाँव है," meaning, "O saints, this is a village of dead bodies." Saint Kabir simply shares the fact that the majority of the world is filled with shallow people, ignorant beings who are as good as dead bodies walking around the village or town. But the last verse of this beautiful poem by Saint Kabir is something that should be written in gold. Saint Kabir says, "नाम अनाम अनंत रहत है, दूजा तत्व न होई, कहे कबीर सुनो भाई साधो, भटक मरो मत कई." Only the name of God remains forever. Only the name of God is immortal. Only the name of God remains forever. Only the name of God is immortal, says Saint Kabir. Listen, O gentle beings, don't get lost. कहे कबीर सुनो भाई साधो, भटक मरो मत कोई. Listen, O gentle beings, don't get lost. 12th house is the house where you find yourself. 12th house is the house that prevent you from getting lost. 12th house is where detachment is seen. It is a house where the nature of let go is seen. This is the house where forgiveness is seen. This is the house where the angels connect with you, only if you allow them to, only if you have the potential to listen to their divine messages. 12th house is the most beautiful house, simply because it is the house of beyond. It is the abode of Buddha. Interestingly, in the Indian context, it is said that Lord Shiva resides in Samshan, in graveyard. At the foothills of Mount Kailash is a sky burial ground. A graveyard always exists near Lord Shiva because Samshan, or a graveyard, is a significant symbolic representation of the destruction of the materialistic journey and the beginning of the spiritual journey. Except for ghosts, nobody else can disturb your meditation in a graveyard, that is, in a samshan. There is nobody who would ever come to the graveyard to meet you or to talk to you. In the graveyard, samshan, there is utter silence, and spiritual seekers need such silence in the beginning. And when they practice sadhana, penance, in a graveyard under the guidance of a real master, then even ghosts don't come to disturb, and so the whole journey of doing intense penance with love and devotion becomes much easier. All credit goes to the benevolent, compassionate Guru, the Master. Saint Kabir or Saint Jnaneshwar, all great saints therefore mention the immense significance of the Guru, the Master. Saint Kabir says, "If Guru and God both appear before me, I will first bow before my Guru who introduced God to me." That is the significance of the benevolent Guru, the Divine Master. 12th house is not a house for the mediocre. The common souls or common beings cannot relate to the depth of 12th house. For that you need to have a foundation of many past births and rebirths that were spent in devoting yourself to God, that were spent in meditating on God's holy name. In simple words, only a true spiritual being, soul who has practiced penance in past lives, can relate, can resonate with the beauty of the 12th house. To realize the great intensity of the 12th house, to be able to appreciate the intense depth of the 12th house, one need to have a certain spiritual foundation, a certain spiritual background of past births and rebirths. Satya Sai Baba says, spiritual education is not a distinct and separate discipline. It is a part and parcel of all types and levels of education. In fact, it is the very foundation on which a lasting edifice can be built. Someone like Diogenes, someone like Buddha, someone like Mahavira, someone like Jesus, they can very well resonate and relate to the depth and beauty of the 12th house. In fact, they are the 12th house because they are no more meditating, they are meditation. Meditation is the state of consciousness. In it, we are present to the moment, open and aware. In a relaxed and easy way, simply being. It's an experience that is intrinsic to us. In fact, it's more than an experience. We are beingness. It's our nature. That's reflected in the fact that we define ourselves as human beings, not human thinkings or human doings. Krishna is consciousness, Jesus is consciousness, Muhammad is consciousness, Mahavira is consciousness, Buddha is consciousness, because God is consciousness. God is the ultimate fragrance of your consciousness. Shallow people will not understand a thing about the 12th house. So it is obvious that they will also not understand my sharing or this podcast. To understand the depth of a subject, first the depth of understanding should be within you. And understanding is not taught in any universities, no matter whether you are from Harvard or Boston University. Understanding is something that has to evolve within your being, and it starts evolving only when you start turning inwards. In the abode of Lord Shiva, Samshan Ghat, graveyard, 12th house, comes an administrator, Saturn. Administrator is always a disciplined person, and so when Saturn comes in the house of beyond, house of spirituality, house of meditations, Saturn brings along a disciplined nature. On the path of spirituality, a certain spiritual discipline is necessary to take control of your mind. Saturn in the 12th house has the capability to bring spiritual discipline in a spiritual seeker's life. Spiritual discipline is necessary with a view to still the mind. The perfectly still mind is universal spirit, says Samarth Ramdas Swami, the Guru of Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj. Saturn 12 individual, if is born in Hindu family, then is often found to be a great bhakt of Lord Hanuman. Lord Hanuman loves discipline. Saturn 12 is a disciplined person, loves to have a certain systematic way of life, sleeps at a certain time, gets up at a certain time, follows the watch and also loves the watch because watch helps him or her to follow a disciplined way of life. Saturn 12 is a good placement because a spiritual life should have a certain discipline. A native with this placement follows the rules diligently while executing his or her spiritual life. Depending on the quality of the horoscope, the native can be spiritual or can be religious. Spirituality has absolutely nothing to do with religion. Always remember this. They are the two ends that can never meet. You are either a Buddha or you are a hardline religious activist. Always remember, every religion is destructive of your evolution of consciousness. Monotheism is the most dangerous, but religion as such is dangerous. If you can avoid religion, you can become religious. If you can avoid religion, you can have a direct contact with existence and the cosmos. A wise man doesn't get entangled in the rituals. He never follows any rituals because you need to follow a ritual when religion is outside you. When you become the religion, then there is absolutely no need to follow any rituals. Religion is not in books, nor in theories, nor in dogmas, nor in talking, not even in reasoning. It is being and becoming. Religions do not come from without, but from within, says one of the greatest master, Swami Vivekananda. Religion is not a ritual. It is not something that you do. It is something that you become. A moment comes in the life of a spiritual being when he is no more following any religion because he has become the religion. A moment comes in the life of a spiritual being when he is no more meditating because he has become the meditation. The greatest religion is to be true to your own nature. Have faith in yourselves, says Swami Vivekananda. Only a man who believes in himself can believe in God, says Swami Vivekananda. So whether you are spiritual or you are a typical religious person, irrespective of what you are, this Saturn 12 compels the native to follow a certain disciplined way of life. In the Samshan, the graveyard, 12th house, all possibilities of the beyond can be explored. There are great tantrics and mantrics and spell magicians and aghoris who do intense penance in the Samshan Ghat. And there are also great spiritual yogis who do intense penance for attaining certain siddhis, supernatural powers, so that with these supernatural powers they can help the people, such as healing the diseased, providing wealth and prosperity to those men and women who deserve it, predicting the future so that one remains mentally prepared, and many such life saving, life nurturing social activities. It all depends on what is the level of the native's consciousness. So, Saturn 12 can either lead one towards the negative side, that is occultism, or the positive side, spiritualism. Either the native will incline towards Aghori, or he will incline towards a life of a yogi. Depends on the consciousness of the individual. Point is that this can go either way, negative or positive. People have all sorts of fancies about themselves. In fact, 90% people I meet, they already have assumed that they have become god and goddesses. In fact, there was one man who said, I have Venus in Pisces and so I have the potential to become a great yogi. Jaggi Vasudev Sadguru, in his chart, Venus is in Virgo. So then should we doubt his integrity? In fact, he is a genuine spiritual figure. In fact, in my last answer on Venus, I had specifically mentioned that weak Venus is good for spiritual progress. And I see that close to 40,000 people have read my answer so far, and many have appreciated. But those having Venus in Pisces will not appreciate because they have been assuming many things which have nothing to do with the reality. There are many great yogis who have weak Venus, that is Venus in Virgo. Weak Venus is excellent for spiritual progress. Spiritual progress happens much faster with a weak Venus than an exalted Venus. Exceptions with exalted Venus happens only when Mars is weak in the horoscope. Venus is a sexual organ. Venus is love. It is good to be in love. It is good to have your sexual organs in good shape. But remember, they become active. They indulge in the act of sex only when Mars fuels in. Mars is the fuel. Mars is the trigger. Mars is sex. And so by chance, if you have Venus in Pisces but Mars is weak and has no connection to Venus, then you are in a safe mood. Then you too can progress spiritually. Astrology is multidimensional. It is not possible to share everything. Truth cannot be shared in its totality by means of words. You need a student, you need a disciple who can understand that which is not spoken and yet delivered by the Master in deep silence. Truth can only be realized. It cannot be explained or understood. In deep silence, only that disciple who has become one with the Master can understand the truth shared by the Master in deep silence. Real communication happens in silence. Bhagavan Raman Maharshi says, take refuge in silence. You can be here or there or anywhere, fixed in silence, established in the inner eye. You can be as you are. Gather your thoughts within, find out the thought center and discover yourself. In storm and turmoil, be calm and silent. Watch the events around as a witness. The world is a drama. Be a witness, interned and introspective. How beautiful is this sharing of Bhagavan Raman Maharshi. Silence is the language of the self. 12th house is the house where there is silence. Spiritual planets like Jupiter, Ketu, do well in the 12th. Saturn is a materialistic planet. Saturn is all about real material that can be touched, utilized, and has a certain practical purpose to it. So, ideally, though Saturn brings its administrative quality in the spiritual domain, still it is not a great placement because Saturn also brings compulsion and restriction to the domain of the unknown, the unseen, the beyond. 12th is the house from where you receive the signals from the higher souls, the evolved souls, the angels, and Saturn brings certain blockage in receiving those beautiful divine messages via dreams or meditations. And so here Saturn brings hardship to the spiritual seeker. The seeker is like a man without a proper range. Very limited range is available to receive signal. That too in a very limited way. And so the seeker has to work hard, put more efforts to find the way ahead. You can say that this is a typical Saturn's blessing in disguise, because by not relying much on the signals of the angel guides, the native puts more efforts and in that process becomes more stronger spiritually. One interesting aspect of Saturn 12 is that the native feels it a necessity or a compulsion to seek retreat at faraway places, foreign lands. At times, this Saturn compels the native to move out of his country and go to some faraway land. Reminds me of Raja Vikramaditya. When his Saturn Sadesati began, he was miraculously taken to a faraway land by a black horse on which he had mounted. And he was transported to a foreign unknown land. His miseries began when Saturn came in the 12th house. Whenever Saturn is close to ascendant, the native appears as cold and detached, and also at times ruthless when it comes to making right decisions for the larger interest of the society. PM Narasimha Rao had Saturn in 12, a great prime minister who opened the gates of India to foreign companies. The man who introduced Manmohan Singh as the finance minister, and Manmohan Singh took many brave decisions under the disruptive dynamic leadership of PM Narasimha Rao. Unfortunately, because he belonged to Congress party, the dynasty politics of Gandhi denied him the credit that he deserved. Dynasty politics indeed is a curse to political system of any country. A person should get credit and status based on his work and not on his family name. And that is exactly what Saturn loves. Saturn is against dynasty politics because Saturn is for those men and women who take efforts, who do the hard work, and who remain honest and sincere and committed to their profession. Just like the 6th, 8th house, 12th house is also a superpower high voltage house that can go either way. You can either become a Don or you can either become a great saint. 12th house knows no middle ground. You are either this side or the other side. There is no middle ground. There is no compromise when it comes to the house of Lord Shiva, the 12th house. Saturn is karmat by nature. The English word for karmat is diligent. And Saturn is also about being official. So if you recite something that is not written in the scripture, then Saturn 12 will oppose you. He will say, "What are you doing? You should read exactly that which is written in the scripture. You should recite the prayers exactly the way the religious scriptures have mentioned." Once it happened, there was a high priest, and he was walking on the streets of Jerusalem when he came across a poor shoemaker. He was deeply engrossed in his prayers. He was saying to God, God, I know you have been walking in these ancient shoes, but God, I will make new shoes for you. I will clean your shoes every day, and God, I will also cook for you. My wife is not a good cook, but I am a good cook. I will cook your favorite food. And God, you have been traveling for so many millions of years, and your clothes have become so dusty. But now you don't have to worry. I will wash your clothes daily. And God, I am also a good tailor. I will stitch new clothes for you. God, I love you, and I also miss you every day. Let your grace be upon me. Amen. The high priest wondered, what kind of prayer is this? God needs shoes, and God needs clothes, and God needs food, and this poor man is saying that he will do all of this. What kind of prayer is this? He thought to teach the poor cobbler the right prayer, the proper way of praying. The high priest must be a Saturn 12 person, because he quickly stopped at the cobbler's hut and said to the cobbler, what are you saying? Is this your prayer? The poor cobbler was taken aback to see the high priest of the church standing before him. He quickly stood up and bowed before the high priest. The high priest felt happy. He thought, this is not a dangerous man. I thought he was a rebel or something. The poor cobbler said, Father, this is the only prayer that I know. I am uneducated. I am wearing old shoes, and so I think God also must be wearing old shoes. And I am hungry, and so I think God also must be hungry. And so this is my prayer. This is all I know. This is how I pray. The high priest said, look, I will teach you the proper way of praying. Now sit down in a proper position. And the high priest taught the cobbler the right way of praying, the official way of praying, and then happily he left. After a while, he reached the church, and then he looked up in the sky to see how happy God must be, because just a while ago he had taught the right way, the official way of praying to a poor man. But God was angry, very angry. In fact, very upset with the high priest. God said, what have you done? I had the most beautiful devotee who so lovingly prayed to me that I would leave everything and listen to his prayer. And now you have taken away my devotee and taught him the right way of praying. Now he will pray, but that prayer will be so formal, so lifeless. What have you done, dear? I have sent you to bring people closer to me, and by teaching them formality of praying, you are taking them away from me. What have you done? It is said that the high priest went back to the cobbler and said to him, you continue with your prayer. You continue to pray the way you are praying. I am sorry. Please continue to pray the way you were praying, because God has listened to your prayers, but not mine. I am sorry. I am very, very sorry. And this is what happens with Saturn 12. The native becomes more formal, more technical, more practical in the execution of his or her spiritual, religious offerings. They are those kind of people who will tell you, you should read the Bible this way, or you should read the Gita this way, or you should read a certain shloka this way and that way. Too much focus is on the outer elements when the real focus should be on what lies beneath. Always remember, Prayer is not asking, it is a longing of the soul. It is a daily admission of one's weakness. It is better in prayer to have a heart without words than words without a heart. Saturn 12 person can be easily impressed by the appearances because he lacks the basic wisdom to see the real person behind those attractive appearances. If you have a Saturn 12 boss, then you can easily impress him by talking sweet and looking attractive and saying all those things that makes him happy. He will instantly give you a raise in your appraisals because these are men who get carried away by that what appears to their naked eyes. They miss to realize that what appears is not always a reality. Appearances are often deceiving. This deceiving happens because the 12th house is blocked, restricted by Saturn, and the 12th house is the source of realizing what lies behind the curtains, behind the appearances. The message to Saturn 12 natives is don't take everything on face value. Don't trust everything you see. Even salt looks like sugar. Look deeper for hidden meanings or real intents because people are not always the same as they appear to the eyes. That is how many marriages fail and many relationships come to an end. Saturn 12 is a calculated risk taker. He is not afraid of taking risks, but he takes a long time before he actually jumps into the unknown, the unseen, the new arenas of life. They generally avoid taking risks without calculating the plus and minus, and many times in this process they miss good opportunities. Saturn 6 and Saturn 12 works wonders as far as Drishti, seventh aspect of Saturn, is concerned. Because when Saturn 12 casts its seventh aspect on 6th house, it restricts the negative matters of 6th house. And the negative matters of 6th house are court disputes, conflicts, hidden enemies, black magic spells, plots and intrigues, cheatings, backstabbing, chronic diseases. So this Saturn 12 becomes a blessing in disguise as the person suffers less from the matters of the 6th house. Saturn 8 aspect becomes a challenge in regards to maintaining good bank savings. But Saturn 12 and Saturn 6 is not an issue as far as finances is concerned. Person maintains a good saving account balance. Saturn brings compulsion, restriction, and generally makes the matters of the house a limited version. And so, meditation, astral journeys, supernatural experiences, all of this comes under the restricted rule of Saturn. When Saturn is in the 12th, either the person feels compulsion to participate in prayers, in meditations, or is restricted to following his religion, his faith. There are people who fear God, and so they visit temples and church and mosque just to ensure that God is not angry on them. Saturn brings fear of the unknown. But the same Saturn also brings compulsion to explore the matters of the 12th house. The person feels burdened. At times he feels very tired and exhausted. Saturn 12 genuinely takes the efforts and follows the legitimate path towards progressing spiritually in life. He follows a spiritually disciplined life, follows the proper restricted diet, and generally is a fellow who remains true to himself. You can say that he is not a man born with gifts, because to have the spiritual gifts, the 12th house should be free of Saturn. And so Saturn 12 man, when starts walking on the spiritual path, he has to take more efforts and more hardships, more penance to attain self-realization, to attain the gifts of the cosmic world. To Saturn 12 natives and to all my fellow followers and listeners, always remember, efforts need not be big. Small efforts are more than enough. Many times it happens, the more you try, the harder it is to attain. Your very effort, your tension, your longing, your expectation becomes the barrier. But with a very small effort, an effortless effort, as they call it in Zen, doing as if not doing, it happens easily. The more you are mad after it, the less is the possibility. Because where a needle is needed, you are using a sword. The sword is not helpful because where a needle is required, you are using a sword. Where small effort is required, you are putting more and more effort. Saturn loves to put effort. Wherever it goes, it compels the native to put efforts in the matters of the house it resides. Saturn 12 natives are compelled to put efforts to progress spiritually, or to connect with the foreigners, or to work for orphanages, social work, and so on. But while you put efforts, be realistic and don't use a sword where a needle is required. Small efforts can move mountains. Small efforts, small techniques are atomic by nature. When Hitler and Mao were working with big masses, Einstein and Planck were working on small units of atoms in their laboratories. Through those small units of atomic energy, Einstein created the nuclear atom bomb, and only one atom bomb stopped the World War II. The moment President Franklin dropped the atom bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan surrendered to the US and the war was over. One small effort of working on the atomic units brought such a big difference to the world politics. Big effort is not required. Small effort is required. That is the message for Saturn 12 natives, and that is also the message of the Divine Master, Bhagwan Raman Maharshi. Bhagwan Raman Maharshi says, no one succeeds without effort. Those who succeed owe their success to perseverance. Every day takes small effort. You can start with 10 minutes meditation, just 10 minutes, but with totality, total devotion, total effort. A student who takes small efforts every day to understand a certain subject scores well in his examination, and it is an open secret. Similarly, you all should also start with small steps, small efforts, then whether it is related to your spiritual growth or material growth. Always focus on taking small efforts consistently, and one day you will find success. Success comes when you focus on taking small efforts. Every day when you meditate, you are taking that small effort. And so it is necessary for you all to focus on meditating every day. Meditate every day, and when you meditate, Always remember, you are not alone.